Althea Greaney. Welcome to the Simsbury View. We are fortunate to live in such a geographically diverse and beautiful town. Simsbury has miles of hiking, running, and biking trails, and a beautiful stretch of river to kayak, canoe, and raft on. Tariffville Gorge has a beautiful whitewater rapids. What happens when you add a bit of competitive spark to all this? Today's guests, Linda Schofield, Frank Haviland, and Jocelyn Mitchell are here and are going to tell us all about it. Hi, Linda. You sure do stay busy.
I try.
I saw that you are involved with the new Simsbury Triathlon.
Right.
And so what's that all about, and what inspired you to become involved and think of doing something like that here in Simsbury?
Well, as you know, I retired, so I had some free time on my hands, and I'm not good with free time, so I like to be busy, as you said. Mm-hmm. And my husband, who's actually the chair of the Economic Development Commission, and I were sitting around having dinner one night, talking about what we could do for Simsbury. And as you pointed out, Simsbury has all these fabulous outdoor recreational assets. Mm-hmm. And the EDC had commissioned a report, a study by a consultant, Fairweather Consulting Group, mm-hmm. About how to promote economic development in town. And they said really one of the best avenues for us, we're not going to do manufacturing mm-hmm. or big office buildings, is to take advantage of our recreational assets. So we were sort of brainstorming, well, how can we showcase those assets? And we came up with the idea of, well, as you said, hiking trails, biking trails, and a river. Let's have a triathlon. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I had no idea how much work that was going to be. But we've put together a big, huge committee of people who are volunteering to help. And we're organizing this triathlon for May 18th, which we're very excited about.
Fantastic. So this was all part of the economic development. So how are the businesses involved in this?
Well, we're certainly thrilled to try to do something to bring patrons to town, and that's the point. Mm-hmm. We're so far we have a number of registrations, and many of them are coming from outside of town. So that's good for businesses because mm-hmm. it'll bring people here, and the businesses are, right next to where the finish line is going to be. Our finish line is at the Performing Arts Center. Okay. So there's downtown right there. So there's sort of four ways we're getting businesses involved. A number of local businesses have sponsored the race, which is really helpful, and we're very appreciative of that. I'll come back to that later.
Okay.
We're also inviting local businesses to have concessions or booths or tables or whatever, which mm-hmm. a number of them are doing, offering their wares, their massage services, their food, their drink, whatever, mm-hmm. at the finish line. So it'll be a festive, fun party at the end. Mm-hmm. A number of businesses are putting coupons and trinkets in a goodie bag, which each racer will get. Mm-hmm. And part of that idea is not only will it be fun for the racers to get this little bag of goodies, but in that bag will be coupons that they can go use. Right. So that will attract them back into the business community. And last, the businesses are providing the prizes for the 26 different categories of winners that we have.
26 categories?
Well, when you think about it, you have women, age under 20, 20 to 40, 40 to, when you start breaking down women, men, then we have teams, family teams, single gender teams, co-ed teams. We have teams if there's a disabled person on the team, mm-hmm. And then we have corporate teams as well. So when you add it all up, it's a lot of winners. Yeah. So we need a lot of prizes.
That means there's going to be a lot of runners,
right? But we've got some great prizes already mm-hmm. Lined up. For example, Metro Bees has donated dinner. For two, which is a wonderful prize. I love their restaurant. Harvest Cafe is putting together a basket of baked goods and coupons for breakfast. Simsbury Therapeutic Massage is offering an hour of free massage. The Bike Seller is providing a biking outfit. Wagner Photography is doing a photo shoot. So the local businesses have been very helpful. And I, if you don't mind, do want to highlight who our sponsors are. Our premier sponsor is Simsbury Bank, and Jocelyn's one of the execs there, so we really appreciate and she's a triathlete.
Wow.
So we really appreciate their participation. Mitchell Auto is also sponsoring CrossFit, the new fitness center in the north end of town, Kineticare, Pains, Northwest Urgent Care, and they're going to have a booth as well, doing some health-related things and massages, and the Bicycle Seller and Bloomfield Bike. So
Wow.
yeah, so we really appreciate the business community's involvement, and this hopefully will benefit them.
So what are the three components for our specific triathlon? Because the Farmington River isn't exactly safe to be swimming in.
Well, actually, I swim in it all the time, but you wouldn't want hundreds of people swimming in it at once. It's kind of not, big enough to monitor the swimmers. But the first segment, it'll all start on Riverside Drive, on the north part of Riverside Drive. That's what's called the transition zone. So runners will start there, and they'll go up onto East Weetog. And immediately once you make that turn on East Weetog, actually I have a little map here. Once you make that turn, there's a hiking trail called the Owen Mortimer Trail that goes up to the power lines in Penwood Forest. And then there's a big loop trail that we've pieced together up onto the ridge. So we kind of call this the River to Ridge Triathlon. And then back down the Owen Mortimer Trail to Riverside. And then they'll hop on their bikes, go over Drake Hill Bridge, up Iron Horse, all the way to 315, back on Terry's Plain, and do that loop twice. That's 12 miles.
Okay, are they actually going to be on the road, or are they going to be taking the bike path?
Going to be mostly on the road. They're going to be taking the bike path from Iron Horse up to 315.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, because that stretch of road.
Yeah, you don't want them on Route 10.
No, exactly.
We really designed the course, which Frank was very helpful on as well, in large part to try to minimize the impact on local traffic. So we're actually not closing any roads except for that segment of Riverside North, where the transition zone is. And then a little bit of 315 will be down to one lane just while the bikers are doing that little short piece there. So just for an hour or so. So they'll do the bike loop, then they come back to Riverside, hop on their kayaks, they'll go upstream for a little while and back downstream. They have to go around a buoy. They'll get out at the crew team dock and then run a quick sprint back to through the back fields to the Performing Arts Center where the finish line is, and where there'll be a big party.
Sounds strenuous just getting up to the ridge, though.
It is a very, very aggressive run. We've done a lot of work on, clearing the trail, and we have a little more work to do to smooth it out a little. But, it's rocky and rooted, and so you really need trail running shoes and to be familiar with running on trails. Not just pavement.
Yeah. So this is a little bit challenging for the regular triathlete, because things are changing up a little bit.
But believe me, every triathlete I've met, and Jocelyn can attest to this, they're all maniacs. They love a big challenge.
Wait a minute.
Right. So, depends on your definition of maniac.
For me, they're crazy.
And to mix it up a little bit makes it exciting, you know. So try something different, and so it's very appealing, the off-road, because it is an additional challenge and a lot of fun.
And it's very pretty. It's a very pretty trail too.
Right. So Jocelyn, we're going to talk a little bit about what people are thinking about when they become triathletes. I mean, whatever encouraged you to be a triathlete?
Ironically, what got me into triathlon was an injury. So I'd had a skiing accident about 18 years ago, and in part of my rehab and healing, I had gotten back to the pool to swim, and then I met up with some triathletes, and so I gave it a shot, and I just fell in love, and that was 15 years ago, and so I've done everything from sprint distance to some off-road to a couple iron distance triathlons.
Oh, you've done Ironman?
I have.
Oh my gosh.
I have, yeah.
Those are killers.
Yeah.
I think everybody always thinks triathlons are all the 26-mile run and a 100-mile bike. This is clearly not in that league, but
right. There's triathlon is it's typically your multi sport activity. typically swim, bike, run. But the distances range from a sprint distance to iron distance, similar to road races where you have a 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon distances. So you can kind of pick your poison. Typically, people will start with sprint distance, which this is sort of typical of these types of distances, just to kind of get their feet wet, so to speak, and then move on from there. So, you know, triathletes come in all shapes and sizes, all ages, all agendas. So whether someone's very competitive or whether someone just wants to, you know, check off that thing on their bucket list, there's a place for them. And the athletes are super supportive. So if you're experienced and you see someone who's kind of trying to figure it all out, people are very helpful and accommodating. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a place for everybody.
Okay, so it's just a bit of a competitive spark. It's not like we're out there and we're going to beat you, get out of my way type of thing.
Definitely not, definitely not. And I've been involved in some like women-only triathlons where typically you have a very high percentage of first-time triathletes, and it is the most encouraging environment because you know someone has come a long way to get here, you know, not just to get to the finish line, but to get to the start line. And maybe something they never thought they were capable of doing, and here they are doing it. And just to witness that, whether someone comes in first or last, is really amazing.
Yeah, just
you know?
Finishing is an accomplishment. I think.
Yeah. And so it is, it's a lot of fun, you know, and you're passing each other, you know, at different points in the course, and people are high-fiving and, you know, giving you encouragement. So, yeah, it's a great experience.
Along the way.
Yeah.
Wow. So how are you going to change your training now that you can't swim? You're going to have to kayak.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about that. I've been doing some cross-country skiing this winter, so I think that's actually going to help.
Okay.
You can cross-country ski a fair amount of this trail, too, because I've just been on it the last few days.
Oh, okay. I'll have to get out there and do that. Yeah, I definitely am going to have to get out and do some trail running because just training on the roads is probably not going to give me, you know, what I need to prepare me. And I might do some, and this might be something good for CrossFit to get into, is some type of cross training like plyometric training and that, so you can help with your core strength.
What's plyometric?
Well, it's sort of, oh gosh, and I'm not an exercise expert, so you're putting me on the spot. But it's explosive type movements. So for instance, I don't know if you've heard of burpees and things like that, where you're jumping up and you're landing in different positions, but
So it's the fast
it's sort of
muscles.
simulating like leaping and landing, and so it strengthens your core. It gives you that explosive power, and also working on your balance. Because again, when you're running, whether it's uphill or especially downhill, you're probably going to be doing a lot of, you know, back and forth and trying to stabilize. So, so probably try to do some of that, and then. You know, and then part of it is just have a good attitude, you know, and just have fun. Okay. So, that's my plan.
Sounds like you're going to.
We'll see if it works.
All right. Do you have a kayak?
I don't, but I have a friend with a kayak. So, so she's going to lend me hers. Actually, she's lending me her husband's because she's going to do the race also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
how does it feel? How did you feel when you heard about a triathlon happening here in Simsbury?
Oh, I was so excited. Yeah. So, you know, you're always trying to, every time, you know, the new year comes around, I'm always trying to sort of figure out what my race schedule is going to be. And I started back to school last year, so my time is limited. And so, you know, typically training, travel, all of that can take up a chunk of your time.
Wow.
And so to have something that's close to home is
Local.
just wonderful.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised how early people register for these things, but we do have one of our volunteers who's been a race director professionally, and he said, "Oh, you've got to have your website and registration up by the end of November." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
But we did, and we started getting registrations right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, athletes will chart their course for the year. So whatever their goal is or their time frame, they'll sort of plot it out and look for those races that kind of fit in with that. And get in, while the getting's good. So
Yeah, because we do have a limit of 250 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So
yeah,
it
and they
might
fill
up.
a lot of
Yeah.
triathlons fill quickly. So once the word
Well, we
gets
hope.
out, yeah, right, good problem to have.
Exactly. So we've talked a little bit about kayaks, and poor Frank has been sitting here patiently waiting for his chance, his opportunity to speak about the kayak races, which are happening actually. One's happening before the
That's right.
triathlon.
April 12 and 13 is the Whitewater Triple Crown, which is a world-class event. We pick that time of the year because that's when the snow melt and the extra water is in there, and Tariffville Gorge can become an incredibly exciting place. So much so that some people just stand there and look, and they say, no, I'm not going to do this one.
Really, even the
but
people
the people
that
that do compete are world-class. We typically have 4, 5, 6 either current or former world champions
Wow.
in the event.
Okay.
It's very typical, and it's a tremendous amount. There's the preliminaries on Saturday and the finals are on Sunday.
Okay, so
Runs
that's
all day from like 9 in the morning until maybe 2, 3 in the afternoon, depending on timing and how things sort out.
And it is fun to watch.
It brings such a crowd of spectators that the folks in East Granby have decided for the last couple of years now not to allow parking right down by the river. Instead, they park in the shopping center at Route 167 and 20. They call it the East Granby Center Shops. They park there and they run airport shuttle vans back and forth. So they drop you off right at the walking, at the entrance to the thing. You don't have to walk very far at all. And the shuttles run all day long, so you can come and go at your leisure.
wow.
They
nice.
run like every 15 minutes or so, and they just, so it works out very well.
Okay, so that starts at 9 o'clock on April 12th. Is the
Right, it's a Saturday, Sunday.
Sundays. Okay.
Okay, the other race is a slalom race, just a slalom race. It's called the Tariffville Slalom. It's run by an organization called the New England Slalom Series. And they run races all over New England and the eastern part of New York State. And that's more of a regional thing.
Okay.
The level of competition is different.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why they do it on June 1st, when the big wave of the water is out of the way and the temperature.
We're hoping, right?
Yeah, and the temperature is much better. So,
What's the difference between the slalom and the Triple Crown?
well, the Triple Crown has 3 kinds of races.
Right.
It has a downhill race that just goes any
for speed.
route you want, and you start and you finish, and they just measure your time.
Okay.
The slalom race is very much like a skiing slalom race, with a couple of exceptions. The gates are hung on wires over the river. You can't stand them up in the ground.
Right.
And some of the gates you have to go upriver on. The skiers don't do that, but the paddlers do.
Right.
And they lay the course out in very clever ways, diabolical ways, in fact. Because there are eddies and all kinds of other strange things going on in the river.
Right.
And the experts who hang the course understand what they're getting you into when they put these things together.
Okay.
And then the third part is called freestyle.
That's fun
These
to
are
watch.
short, stubby kayaks that are good to get on top. If you just look at the gorge, you'll see there are these standing waves every now and then, some big, some small. They get on top of it and they surf straight down. And so relative to the land, they're not moving. They're just kind of sliding down on this fixed thing, and then they start doing all kinds of tricks. Somersaults and twists and turns, and they have some complicated names for them all. And there's a jury that stands there and scores them for this thing, and they slowly but surely build up a point total, and that's how they compete for that. But the trick of the Triple Crown is you must do well in all of them in order to win. It's your combined score for the 3 thing. And it was actually invented by a fellow named Jamie McEwen, who was a bronze medalist in the 1972 Olympics in slalom. And New England and the East Coast used to be a major source of slalom paddlers for the U.S. Olympic team, and it's kind of faded away because the freestyle is so much fun. And you don't need any equipment, and you don't have to go from one part of the river to another, and there's no poles. It's taking it over. So what he wanted to do was to draw on that pool of freestyle kayakers and get them to try some slalom to begin to fall in love with it. And it's working, and it does very well. Does very well.
Fantastic. And how many years has this been happening in Tariffville?
This is going to be our 6th Triple Crown,
Okay.
and it's going to be the 3rd Tariffville Slalom.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, that sounds like wicked scary to me because
Yeah, those guys
Yeah.
are maniacs.
Well, from a
Yeah, we won't
spectator's-
have anything like that in the triathlon.
It's a great spectator event because you can literally walk right down to the edge of the water in East Granby and line up along the shore, so you can kind of choose the vantage point that you like.
Okay.
And there are thousands of cameras there. It's a very photographic kind of a photogenic kind of an event.
Yeah.
All the bright colors and moving pictures, and they're very close. They're as far away as you are from me in some parts of the course. So
wow.
it gets exciting.
Yeah. Well, April 12th and 13th, I know usually that's pretty chilly. So if you're going to be a spectator, I'd imagine dress warmly and dress for.
It's very unpredictable, though. The very
Yeah.
first Triple Crown that we did in 2009, it was 94 degrees on
Yeah.
Saturday and 90 on Sunday.
Yeah, I remember it.
It was a real fluke.
Yeah.
We haven't repeated that, but you never know.
No. Well, there was one April, I remember when my daughter was young, and I took her up to Vermont, and it was 100 degrees. And it was April. It was
Yeah.
very weird, yeah. Well, you never know.
It's New England.
So, okay, so,
I do just want to note one thing about kayaks for the triathlon, and that is if you don't own one, which you would ask Jocelyn about,
right.
we do have an arrangement with Collinsville Canoe and Kayak and with EMS that you can rent from them, and they'll actually deliver them here. So all
Okay.
that information is on our website.
Okay, and what is your website?
Oh, www.trysimsbury.com, but it's TRY because we
Okay.
want people to
Try.
try out Simsbury.
Okay. Well, that's very cute. It's a cute little play on
On
sounds.
triathlon.
So the let's see, we had the spectators for the Triple Crown. We know that they have to park in the
East Granby
Center. And if somebody was interested in going to watch just the slalom, the T-Ville slalom.
Then you can park on that access road, which is Tunxus Avenue in East Granby off Spoonville Road.
Okay.
You need to be nice to the neighbors. The fire department likes the cars to be pointing out.
Okay.
I said, what's the problem? When was the last time you saw a kayak burst into flames? And the fire chief said, in case the fire is on the mountain, in the woods, we want to get everybody out of the way so we can get our equipment in there. So
Okay.
it was a sensible thing. I just didn't understand what he was up to.
Well, because everybody wants to leave real quick. No. Okay. So, is there a place where people could go to get more information about the kayak races?
The Triple Crown has its own website. It's
Okay.
tvilletriplecrown.org, and it's up, and it'll show you all of the various details and some photos from previous events and some other things, registrations, parking requirements,
Okay.
things like that.
All right. Very good. And we know that both of the kayak races start at 9 o'clock.
Right.
And we're going to go back now to the triathlon because I don't think we told people what time that's going to be.
Yeah, it's Sunday, May 18th at 11.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a midday event.
Okay.
You need to be there much earlier than that
well,
for
if
dropping
you're a
off
racer,
equipment and getting
yes,
organized and everything
absolutely.
else. But
Right.
the spectators start at 11.
So people coming in for the triathlon, they need to bring their own running shoes. They need to bring their own bikes. They can
And-
bring their own kayaks,
Yeah.
but if they needed to rent, they could rent from the
There's a limited number of rental kayaks available, though. So if they want to rent, they're going to need to hurry up and book
Okay.
one because there's, I think, about 45 kayaks available. You can
Okay.
rent also from a place in Waterbury, but that's obviously a bit further
further
away.
away, right? And
Yeah.
I love the website. It gave a lot of information. It gave some really great tips about registering early because you can save money and with the registration things, and they give you a packet ahead of time so
Right.
that you can like pre-register
Yep.
and get
If
all
you,
the things.
if you register online, you can pick up your race packet the day before, and that will ease the morning rush. That way you don't have to go to registration. You can just drop off your equipment, go park, and you're ready to go.
ready to go. Because otherwise you have to be there for 8:30 to
Yes, to
10 o'clock
register.
is the registration. If you are a procrastinator, which I tend to be. but-
And it's $15 more if you register on race day.
Right.
So
So, and also you might not be able to because you might have
Right.
too many people already
Exactly
registered.
right, yeah.
So, and is that people or is that combined people, corporate teams?
Slots. So when there is a relay team, they kind of count as one person because it's, one person, 3 people doing each of 3 legs,
legs.
but there's only sort of one person combined. I'm not saying that very articulately, but
right.
you know what I mean.
Okay. And everybody needs volunteers?
Yes, big
Okay,
time.
so if you are in the mood to volunteer and not run or a race or whatever, get a hold of Linda.
Yep.
And her number, do you want me to give you your number?
Sure, yep.
Her number is 860-651-8739. And I don't know if they could contact you too through the website maybe?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
Or they can email me at my personal email.
Okay. All right. And Frank, do you
Volunteers, we have a list of people who have volunteered in the past and have been trained. It's a little complicated, the
Okay.
things that we need volunteers to do. So we have this stable pool, and we just
Right.
draw from
We
that.
are lucky. We
Yeah.
hope to have that in future years.
Okay, well, we have been racing the clock to be sure you all have the information you need to either participate or observe these feats of athletic prowess. So let's review the races chronologically. On April 12th and April 13th, starting at 9 a.m., the Whitewater Triple Crown New England Championships will run through Tariffville Gorge. Spectators can access the race by parking at the East Granby Center shops and using the shuttle service provided by the town of East Granby. On May 18th, the first ever Simsbury Triathlon will start at 11 o'clock a.m. with racers signing in at the Performing Arts Center on Iron Horse Boulevard between 8:30 and 10 a.m. Pre-registration is encouraged and provides many benefits. You can check them out and get all the information you need at www.trysimsbury.com. On June 1st, the Tariffville slalom races begin at 9 a.m. and spectators should park along the end of Tunxus Avenue in East Granby on the riverside of the road facing the exit. That's all the time we have. I want to thank Linda Schofield, Frank Haviland, and Jocelyn Mitchell for making time to share these exciting events with us and wish them and the many others involved great success. Our show today is possible thanks to our volunteer camera operators, Sally Suma and Rachna Agrawal, our director, Jason Staples, and teleprompter, Karen Hanville, and generous donations from the community. I'm Althea Greaney. Thank you for watching and supporting SCTV.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.